would like you now to meet Stanton Friedman. Stanton is a nuclear physicist now residing in, I believe it's
Fredericton, New Brunswick.
And you believe in UFOs.
I'm a scientist who studied a heck of a lot of data, and I've concluded that the planet's being visited. Belief, I believe the Dodgers are better than the Yankees. That's belief.
You believe we're being visited?
Planet Earth is being visited by intelligently controlled vehicles from off the Earth, and, along with it, the governments of the United States and Canada, some few people in both, have known that for at least 37 years.
Okay, this may sound rude, but when one thinks of UFOs, or when some people think of UFOs, and people who believe in UFOs, they may think the person is a little wingy.
That's one of the myths. Most people do believe in UFOs. All the opinion polls show that. And the greater the education, the more likely to believe in UFOs. And a majority of engineers and scientists believe in UFOs. There's a small group of people who keep telling us it's all nonsense. That's a myth.
You have some documents, government documents, I believe, indicating that there have been official sightings?
Well, there have been loads of sightings all over the world. There's several things that I base my conclusions on. I haven't taken any trips anywhere. You can tell that I look almost normal.
Yes.
Large-scale scientific studies of the United States government, which go over thousands of sightings, and always find a small percentage that indicate we're dealing with manufactured craft, vehicles, not just lights in the sky, whose behavior, the ability to go up and down, back and forth, move 10,000 miles an hour, says they weren't made here, because if we could make things like that, we would be, instead of making the commercial or conventional military aircraft that we make. Then we have a whole host of documents in terms of studies, scientific studies that have been done, that most people don't know about. In the 9 anti-UFO books that have been written, they don't even mention these.
Well, what official documents do you have that indicate that the governments in North America, I guess, are admitting that they exist?
Well, they're not admitting anything. These are documents we've gotten out of the file. One Canadian document, for example, which was top secret. You've got confidential secret, top secret, this is top secret plus. Written over 30 years ago, says, quote, I made discreet inquiries to the Canadian embassy staff in Washington, who were able to obtain from me the following information. It's the most highly classified subject in the United States government, rating higher even than the H-bomb, flying saucers. Flying saucers exist. How they work is unknown, but concentrated effort is being made by a small group headed by Dr. Vannevar Bush, who was a great scientist. The entire matter is considered by the United States authorities to be of tremendous significance. So that was a top-secret document written over 30 years ago. Recently, several of us have used the Freedom of Information law in the United States and access to information in Canada to start digging through the files and to get stuff. We eventually, in one case in the States, got a document justifying the non-release of 160 other documents about flying saucers by the biggest security agency in the United States, the National Security Agency. They listen in on conversations all over the world. They refused to release any documents. We went to court. They still refused. We asked them to show the documents to the judge. They still refused. But they put together a 21-page justification. We're not going to release them. We got the 21-page justification. What's important here is two things. It says top secret at the top. And the fact that when they finally released the document, they left out most of the document. As you can see, there's practically nothing there.
You don't think that's just to protect someone who may not want their name released?
Oh, no. There's no question. As a matter of fact, the judge said that the public interest in disclosure is far outweighed by the potential danger to the security of the United States should this information be released. So every agency we've gone after, the FBI, the CIA, the Defense Intelligence Agency, the Office of Naval Intelligence, the Air Force Office of Special Investigations, the Army even, they all say we don't have anything. You start probing, you use the law appropriately, and we've got thousands, literally thousands of pages of documents. It was taken very, very seriously. Also, a colleague and I have investigated the crash of a flying saucer in 1947 near Roswell, New Mexico. We've talked to 90 people about that case, including FBI agents, Air Force generals, all kinds of people. It's clear that one crashed. The government said so at the time. Then the fix was in. They said it was just a weather balloon. It was not a weather balloon. There were bodies found. The cosmic Watergate dates back at least until 1947.
Okay, we'll talk some more. The fix is also in MUM. We're going to see the fix. But before that, we have some pictures that you brought along of UFOs.
Yeah, this one is the fifth of a whole sequence of pictures, 7 of them taken over Salt Lake City, Utah. This is an enormous enlargement, but there were 7 in a row taken. I think this tells a little bit about propulsion systems, which is another problem here. Some people can't believe that anything could behave the way these things do. The next one is from an entirely different location. This is part of a motion picture taken near Colorado by a man who was driving in a car. The object comes in from the right, zips across the sky. This is being slowed down, as you can see, at 1/12 the speed, and there are 2 objects there. You can run these over and over again. It is clear that it is not a conventional object. There's another motion picture that was taken in another part of the world that deals with this as well. Here's a part of a sequence of pictures taken in Santa Ana, California, a hat-shaped object with a dome on it. There's over 100 pages of analysis of these pictures around. When you enlarge it, you can't see the rest, of course, but there are things there whose size and distance you can measure that's very helpful in the analysis. It's your typical unidentified flying object, if you will. Call it a flying saucer. The large object some distance from the camera. This is the second of the sequence. This is California, 1965. This is in Yugoslavia, 1974. It looks identical. One of numerous pictures that have been taken. There have been fraudulent pictures. This doesn't happen to be one of them.
That's what I was going to ask, because you
Pictures can be fake, but with modern methods of analysis, you can determine that you're dealing with a very large object at some distance, which rules out somebody flipping the frisbee kind of thing. This is the 5th of a sequence of pictures taken over Salt Lake City. I stood at the exact location. I've seen the negatives uncut. In the original, you'd see buildings, but you wouldn't see the object. It's so small on a home television set. Now, one of the things that people don't realize is that there are more than 3,000 reports of humanoids associated with flying saucers. This particular sculpture was done from a bunch of drawings done by an artist sitting next to Barney Hill in New Hampshire when Barney, under hypnosis, described the aliens that took him and his wife Betty on board a UFO in 1961. It's a very long, involved case. This is your typical little gray man, if you will. They're not green, I should add. He was under 5 feet tall. There were one of 11 crew members on this craft, vehicle, whatever you want to call it.
Could they communicate?
He could. The leader seemed to be able to speak English with a very strange accent. Presumably they ran it through a computer. Somebody's got to tell the specimen, stand up, sit down, turn over.
Where's Barney now?
Barney is dead, unfortunately.
Oh,
his wife is alive. There's a very extensive amount of research that's been done on that case.
But did it have any great psychological effects on them?
Oh, yes. Their lives were completely disrupted because there were 2 hours of their life associated with the sighting that they couldn't remember. It was only 2 years later, after he developed an ulcer, couldn't go to work or anything. They went to a psychiatrist to try to lift the curtain that had obscured this period of time, and it was under hypnotic sessions, each of them separately for 3.5 months, that the story came out. Out of that work, incidentally, we've learned where at least one group of strange beings originated. Namely, there was, Canada's finest science writer, Terence Dickinson. People hear him on Quirks and Quarks on radio. Did the story of the star map that Betty saw on board the UFO. It's a very long story, which we won't go into. It tells us they originated in a very special place, Zeta 1 or Zeta 2 Reticuli. Now, most people have never heard of it. Those 2 stars, unlike our sun, which is out in the boondocks, the next star is several light years away, these 2 stars are practically down the street from each other. They're 100 times closer to each other than our solar system is to the next star over. They're also a couple billion years older. It's a very special group of stars, very exciting work.
We're going to let people talk to you and ask you questions about UFOs or aliens or anything they want to talk about. Call now and talk to Stanton Friedman.